Good morning, everybody out there. Welcome to Noah's Groovecast, episode number 33. It is Monday again. It's interesting. I've been thinking about this day all week, and I had a really good time last Monday doing this, and well, and now it's here, and I feel like I was going to be super ready for this one, and I've been thinking about it. I have some stuff to talk about, and I'm going to play a song um, at some point during the episode, during the podcast. I got to get in the swing of things here. You know what? I got up. I woke up, set my alarm for like 5:40. I was going to go run, and it just didn't happen this morning. I did get up and do a little bit of exercise, but not what I initially planned to. And instead, it's not that I'm not going to do any exercise today. For all those of you that are incredibly concerned about out there about whether or not I'm going to do exercise, but I'm going to be biking to the gym. I've got about 2 weeks left on my membership, and then it expires, and I'm not going to renew it because it's quite expensive, and I'm just going to seek alternate, because the only reason I have this particular gym membership is for a basketball group that plays on a consistent basis, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and overall, while it's been a great thing, and it's truly, it's a great group of people, it's a great group of guys that is worth every penny, but I'm just getting to a point where, with what I'm doing with music and just the I guess the stage of life and the timing, it doesn't make sense to continue to invest what's about, I think, a little bit over $1,000 annually now, to keep doing that when basketball is an injury-prone sport, and I just need to. There's other ways to get the exercise that I need and get the things that I get out of that experience without spending $1,000 and without risking the hands. And so it's up for renewal, and that's what's going to happen. But in the meantime, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to step it up, and I'm going to be biking down to the gym, which takes me a couple hours round trip, and then doing the basketball exercise, which is a nice intense exercise for around an hour and a half, something like that. So I will be getting my exercise today, don't you worry. But I decided to give myself the sleep, a little bit more sleep this morning, and not wake up so abruptly and then just hurl myself into a run, trying to ease into it. And I guess that is where the topic that we could start with today. Let me make sure I pull up these different windows so I can see everything. So I'll start with that. I'll start with that. That's actually one of the later things that I was going to talk about. But we'll start with something I just wrote down this morning that I called unperceived gains. That was at least the best way that I could succinctly try to describe this idea. But it's something that I've noticed and that I just wanted to put out there in the ether for whoever happens to stumble upon it. Whenever I try to take my health and my diet and exercise more seriously, and I have certain goals in mind, I want to lose a certain amount of weight, or I want to feel this amount better, or I want to be this much stronger, or I want to see results, right? And that's how I can try to determine if the efforts and the pain and struggle, if it's worth it. You want to see the gains in order to warrant the investment and the effort. And what I've noticed though is, so if I work really hard, I might see some weight loss pretty quickly, and that could be motivating. But then also I've noticed sometimes you might see periods where you don't see much weight loss at all, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not perfect. I'm not being perfect on my diet, but I'm being pretty good, and maybe even very good. And I'm consistently doing, a pretty rigorous amount of exercise. And so then why am I not seeing these results? When the reality is you may be seeing the results, it's just not necessarily reflected in the numbers. And it's something that I've noticed. If sometimes I guess a lot of the time I end up becoming too focused on immediate results. And what I mean by immediate results aren't the results that I see tomorrow, but maybe even the results that I see within the first 3 weeks, maybe even the first few months, like month and a half or something like that. But it's really when you've put in that consistent effort for like 3 to 4 months. I think there's also a whole other side of things. You will see if you do, push-ups and pull-ups and run, every day for 6 days, and then you take a rest on the 7th day, you're gonna see those results, and they will be like you will be able to notice that. But there's also something to be said for if you toned it down a little bit and you just did it over a period of like 6 months or 4 months, and that consistent effort. Essentially, you may not notice it on a gradual basis. It may be too gradual, but it's something else other than that too. It's like your body takes some time to kind of hear what's being communicated, and when you communicate it, and it's like, do you really want me to grow in this way? Do you really want me to grow in this way? And when you are consistent for 3 months or something like that, or 2.5 months, then the body's like, okay, I think he's serious. And then it makes an adjustment that it won't make if you just do a burst of 2 weeks of intense exercise or something like that. You get these longer term effects and these more like deep-seated kind of results that occur when you are just consistent over longer periods of time. And so I guess as I got older, or as I've just been around a little longer, then I started to become less concerned with whatever happens, more immediate results, and to stretch out what my idea of immediate even means. That when I'm thinking in terms of immediate, that's like a span of like 2 weeks to maybe even 2 months or something like that. That's more immediate. And I just need to think more like 6 months to a year or beyond. What are the results that I will have? What are the benefits that I'm going to have if I do this consistently for 3 years? And not thinking in the context of that, hey, every 2 weeks that I keep this up, I'm going to lose X amount of weight. I'm going to gain X amount of strength. But rather thinking about what are the benefits that purely come from that longer, consistent duration. Results that aren't that smaller incremental kind of thing that happens through one effort or whatnot, but just benefits that sort of arise out of like a phantom benefit that emerges, once you have demonstrated your consistency, and these things that kind of come through that it's hard maybe even to attach words to, but you just know I'm stronger, I'm healthier, I'm faster, or I'm whatever it is. So to me, the reason I mention that is it's something, as I became more aware of the truth that I think that is, it helps me to stay more consistent, because I don't get discouraged when I don't see my results reflected in the numbers. I know if I'm putting the work in, I'm achieving results, and I don't really have to worry about whether it's perceivable or not. It's some of those benefits may reveal themselves in a much longer period of time. And the only thing I need to worry about is just being consistent. So I don't know. I'm sure that like everything is applicable across all aspects of life. But for the purposes of right now, just more applying that to exercise and encouraging everyone to exercise because it's a pretty rewarding thing. All right. I think am I gonna be able to stick to 30 minutes this morning? All right. I got stuff. I wrote so much stuff down. I could go on for an hour, but I should probably keep it for other weeks. I mean, I'll just keep coming up with more stuff, but I've got stuff to do today, and I want to make sure that I do it. I want to make sure I proportion my energy properly throughout the day today. All right, so let's look at. All right, the last thing that I talked about on last Monday that's on my list here was the problem of infinitely repeatable business as a goal. So I'm going to skip that, but if you were interested in that topic, that's in the previous podcast. I've got the next thing I got written here is I'm selling cultural and personal health for cheap. And, I think I wrote that down when I was adjusting my website, and I added songs, one of which is the one I'm going to play for you shortly. And I added songs that you could purchase on the website, and I listed them I was thinking, what price should I put? And I pulled all my music from Spotify and all these different platforms, and I just put it on my website. And I don't know if anybody's interested. I can go into some of why I may have done that, but it's just something I did, and I'll learn. I'll continue to think about it over the course of time if it's the right thing. But for right now, that's what I wanted to do. So I listed the song. I was trying to think, what price should I list the songs for? And the obvious answer is $1 because that's what like every song is listed for everywhere. It's either free or it's $1. I decided to list my songs for $5, and I might readjust it to $1, and then I could also set it to, like Bandcamp has it where you can pay whatever price you want, and I've got that set that way, even though the minimum I think currently is still $5. And so then I wrote this down. I'm selling. I don't know if this was exactly the order, but I'm selling cultural and personal health for cheap. And I think that's accurate. I think that the work that I've done, the songs that I've written, they're meant to help you to be healthier. They're meant to help you understand sort of philosophical or psychological hurdles that like a lot of people have to go through, that you'll probably have to go through at some point in your life. And probably the sooner you go through them, the better. Probably, maybe not always. You don't want to there's a certain probably healthy pace of maturation. But when you get hung up on different things, or you're going through different things that are difficult emotionally, psychologically, or philosophically, a lot of my songs, that's what they're written about, is going through those things. And so then I said I'm selling it for cheap. Well, everything else is cheaper, so am I not selling it expensive? But I don't think so, because I think that's a pretty low price. It's a pretty if I try to go to the doctor, to the hospital, I'm paying a lot more. If I go to the dentist, I'm paying a lot more. And so to me, this is still it's health, and it's maybe just not regarded in the same way. And also it's just industrial, like it's sort of the industry and the culture has sort of decided and imprinted in people's minds, this is the price of a song, it's $1. But I think that probably should change, and I think maybe people overall can get outside of the mainstream of some of the like, without being insulting to the artists themselves. There's plenty of music out there that I think we could all agree is like a $1 McDonald's burger. You know, it's like a fast food 50-cent burger or whatever, where it is made with cheap ingredients and like the lowest quality stuff you can get, and it's unhealthy and it's bad for you. And there's a lot of that stuff that's out there that's being digested in huge numbers, and it's not good for anybody. And so, and then you can go to some like Melvin's and get a really nice jalapeno cheeseburger, which is made with way better ingredients and it's better for you, but it's still a cheeseburger. Still, there's better things to eat, So the point being, not all songs are created equal, and not all songs are there to better you. Like, not all songs are good for you, and so it's something that I'm gonna always be grappling with a little bit in my mind about what is the right price for a song. But I decided to pull all my songs from the social media platforms because I just thought, you know what, those platforms haven't ever done anything for me to help me in terms of promotion. The only benefit that I get from those is that there's many people that I know that might listen to my song, that they have a favorite platform that they would maybe go look for it, and they would listen to it through that platform. But I thought, you know what, if the music is really meaningful to them and it matters to them and they really want to listen to it, if I make music that really is, that worth listening to, if I make music and I'm able to, that actually makes a difference for people, then I don't think that it not being on Spotify would stop them listening to it. And so then there's no reason to go through Spotify. There's no reason to go through these different platforms, because they've never once put, of their own volition, said, hey, we're going to take your song and then show it to 1,000 people. I got to do all the work to get people to listen to it anyway. So why let Spotify reap the rewards of those efforts? Why let these different platforms reap those rewards when I can create my own website and I can have people stream it or purchase it from there, and then they can have the audio file and do whatever they want with it. There's a little bit of the convenience loss that's there, but you know what? If you can't, make the effort, the little bit of extra effort that it would take to not listen to the, on Spotify, and that it would take to actually go outside of your comfort zone, your platform comfort zone, and listen to something that's not on those platforms, then I guess, you're not going to get to hear my music. You're not going to get to hear it. So, and you're not going to get to hear maybe music from other people that are going to do that as well. And, that's not something I exactly feel good about, but something I think I can accept. And so that's what I'm doing. And yeah, to list it at $5, I think $5 for the amount of effort that I've put into my music career, and the amount of effort that I've put into studying philosophy, studying psychology, and also living in a way that helps me to learn whether or not my ideas are true or not. That it's worth $5. I mean, it's probably worth a lot more than that, But there's also the other angle, which is, uh, once I've produced this recording, it isn't that expensive to duplicate it. It's, I'm sure there's an electrical cost, but I think it's pretty negligible. It's essentially free to duplicate it. To actually bring it into existence is really hard. And it's time consuming, and it was expensive because I had to get lots of different equipment and learn how to do all these things in order to be able to bring that, this song into reality. And it's been very hard. It's been very long earned, and it's been expensive. And so I deserve to be able to charge an amount of money for it, or it just makes sense that if something takes that kind of effort and resources to create, then it's you shouldn't have to sell it for free or sell it for $1 just because. So I don't think it's unreasonable to charge $5 for it. But yeah, it is essentially free to duplicate. But I'd have to sell a lot of copies of it in order to recoup the investment, that it took to produce that. And then I also think there's another angle to which you're appreciating the value, by putting a slightly higher price on it. It's like when you say every song's worth $1, I just think that disrespects a lot of music, because there's a lot of music that's, I think, worth more than $1. And it's the industry we work in, and so it's a complex subject. It's a complex topic, and you can have many different valid perspectives on it. So I'm not trying to make the argument that this is the only correct perspective there is, and anybody not doing it my way or the way that I'm doing it is wrong. But this is the way that I'm doing it, and I think there's a valid argument behind why I'm doing it this way, and it's the values that I want to push forward, and so that's the way I'm doing it. So if you want to listen to my music, you can go on my website and listen to any of what I'm putting out. You can listen to it for free on my website, and then if you want to listen to it off of my website, then you would have to purchase it, and it's, I think, any one song is $5. And this is new, I'm gonna put different package discounts together where if you buy a bunch of songs at one time, maybe you could buy 10 for $10, I don't know, or maybe you could buy 10 for or 5 for $10, and then there's also going to be different rewards, like if you invite other people to join my newsletter. I think I'm going to always give away at least one song for any new subscribers, and then also if you invite like 10 people to my newsletter, then I would give away creating a custom song just for you. I feel like 10 is a pretty big deal. If you got 10 different people to join, then I think that deserves a pretty significant, reward or benefit or whatever. And so the thing I thought would be that I would write you a custom song, and so that could be about anything you want. And I would you would create the subject matter, and then I'd craft the song, and it could go back and forth with feedback a little bit about, what maybe genre or different things that you want included in the song, and then I'd produce it to be the highest quality that I'm capable of producing. I'd mix and master it, all that, try to give you the best thing that I can possibly produce. So I'd try to give you a great value for that. All right. Those weren't exactly all the things that I was going to talk about this morning. I had so many other things, but I just kind of got into that. I guess that's what it's going to be. All right, let's jump into some of these topics. All right, we'll try to run through some of this stuff fast as I continue to wake up this morning. All right, so I got a bunch of things written down. I'm going to see if I can go through them and if the ideas will come back. All right, so last Monday I did talk about, I said that I was sort of an anti-globalist, and I guess I just wanted to expand on that a little bit. There's a lot of people that maybe are against the idea of globalism, and I think for very good reason, and I think that's because most people, when you conceptualize globalism, you're thinking about people that want to take over the world, and that people want kind of a one world order. And I think that's a bad thing, because you're trying to samify everyone. You're trying to turn everybody into robots. You're trying to turn to make everything docile and sort of it would strip the character, the life, the expression, the uniqueness of overall all these different parts of the world and different cultures and all this stuff. I don't think we want to do that. I think we want to preserve culture. We want to preserve uniqueness. We want to preserve all these kinds of things that have developed organically. And but I at the same time am not really an anti-globalist, in the sense I don't want power to be centralized. I think that's kind of a bad idea. I think you want to have as small amount of centralized power as you can, because if you have, it's just too big of a risk when you have lots of centralized power. As soon as somebody that with bad intentions accesses that power or acquires that power or is granted that power, now everyone's in real trouble. So I think and it can be really hard to overcome. And so I think it's really foolish to centralize power. That's why we have the United States, and you have a national government, and you have state governments, and you have local governments, and you have counties, and it gets divided down. So you try to keep as much power with the individual as you can, while still maintaining a cohesive organization that's productive and works well together. And so the national government, like of the United States, in my opinion, is quite massive, and is probably certainly way too big. And I think neither Democrats or Republicans quite understand the degree to which it should revert and not be nearly as big as it is. And I think what Republicans tend to be the smaller government side, although I don't know that they always are. But just in general, I think so many of the people that get into politics or that are in government get. I mean, it's counterintuitive, right? If you're getting in government, why would you want it to be smaller? Maybe it takes a kind of a special person to stay committed to that principle, while your career path kind of wants, people want their careers to grow. So there's kind of a conflict of interest. But yeah, we don't want centralized power, so we don't really want globalism. But we do kind of want globalism in the mindset of individuals, in the sense that everyone around the world is just people, and we're all people with different upbringings. We might have different values. We have different cultures. We have different ideas. And it also needs to be said and understood that not every idea is good, and so there's good ideas and bad ideas within every culture, and with every society, and it's there. You can say that there are on a fundamental level, nobody is better than anybody else. On a fundamental level, nobody is better than anybody else, because we're all human beings. We come into the world the same. We leave the world the same. Okay? But we would certainly say that a volunteer, somebody that volunteers their time at a charity for helping homeless people is better, or is doing something better that it matters, like in the sense of how you'll behave with respect to that person, that they're doing something better than somebody that is going around stealing their bicycles, or robbing them, or trying to sell them, keep them addicted to something, So there's many different, comparisons I could draw. there are people that make worse decisions than others, and sometimes that is wrapped up into a group, and I feel like that's something that people don't want to grapple with, is that essentially when you have a group of people, that's a culture, and a culture can be small, a culture can be big, and cultures are complex and they overlap. They're like these big, those ellipses or those circles that, what do you call it when you have a Venn diagram, right? A Venn diagram. You have a circle here and you have a circle here, and then those circles overlap. And then the stuff on the outside is only with that circle, and then the stuff that's on the inside. And so that's how people are, is these big Venn diagrams that's just tons and tons and tons of Venn diagrams. And you have like, we have a basketball culture at MUSC at the Wellness Center where we play pickup on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's a culture because there's certain things that we do there. There's attitudes, there's the way we interact with each other, there's expectations. That's a certain culture of pickup basketball that has evolved there and grown there. And then you have it's like literally like everywhere where there's a group, a consistency of a gathering of group, that you have culture that develops and evolves. And so culture needs to be understood in the way that it really is. And so, the thing, there are benefits and there are the opposite of benefits to every culture. Not every culture is holy, just pure. It's like there are things that could be better, there are things that could be worse, and ideally overall it's an upward momentum. Every culture is striving towards betterment, and it does in some ways and it doesn't in others. And people in general need to be able to acknowledge and be honest about what is going well and what's not, because that's the way that you actually make improvements. And when you can't be honest about those things, then you are working to preserve things that are not serving you and that are not serving the world. And so that's why I am a globalist in the sense that everyone's the same fundamentally, and that we primarily, at a base level, we all want the same things. And so we should all want that for each other. There's no reason I should want anybody else to not be healthy and not be good. Like, if everyone is healthy and good, we're going to live in a pretty good place. Like, it is just, that would be the best world that we could possibly live in. And so the reason that, we have like psychological problems or wars or conflicts stems from that there are lots of people that are not well. And for such a large number of reasons, you can't possibly, because there's 8 billion plus people. That's what I feel like I'm speaking. It's not. There's no easy solution to what I'm talking about, but nevertheless, that's just what I think is, and so that's the only real solution, is to move in that direction. It's the only thing that makes any sense. So, all right, the podcast has already been going on for 30 minutes, and I haven't played the song yet. So I think I might play the song and then see if I can't. Every topic that I get into, it's like I end up dwelling on it. All right, we'll play this song. Actually, I'm going to talk about this. All right, I got this one that maybe is really short. Some of these things maybe aren't cohesive at all, but I've got written down, addicts don't want to quit. They have to quit. And I wrote that in thinking about tech, because I think we are addicted to tech. And we're addicted to sort of like development and tech. And, I'll say this. You can take this however you want, but many times I think about, I really wish I could just move to Bermuda, or, you know, I can. That's the thing is, I could go uh, to the Caribbean and just go kite surfing, because that's the best thing in the world. Okay, it's the best thing. If I could, if not just kite surfing, but you go to these places. Essentially, what I'm saying is the world itself has so much, like, the best of to offer that it created, that people did not create. The internet's not better than the beach. It's just not. The internet's not better. Like a car. A car is not better than. It's not better than watching stingrays jump out of the water and swim with dolphins. Or it's not. It's not even close. It's not. And so, believe me or not, but there's a big part of me that just wants to go do that and forget about everything else. But I feel like I doubt whether or not I would actually be able to. I would doubt whether or not I would actually be able to just live in peace in that way, or if I would always feel like I have a certain obligation to, how I grew up and how I was raised, and that I abandoned that and I wasn't fulfilling the purpose that I'm supposed to fulfill. And so I don't know that I could go do that in peace, believe it or not. And so, but that's why I've written down: addicts don't want to quit; they have to quit. It's so when you're in a state of addiction, you may not even realize that you're addicted. You may not even realize that what you're doing is bad for you. And so, it's something I continue to think about, but I think we may have an issue with addiction to tech. I mean, certainly it's something that's been talked about. I'm talking about like in a deeper way, where we're just so driven to just keep pushing in development. It's like everyone takes for granted that, some of these technologies that have evolved are the best things that ever happened to us. And yet we're experiencing things that are quite, unbelievable on some level. I mean, the amount of homelessness and drug addiction and sort of social decay and all that is evident and just available for everybody to see if you go to like any city is it's unbelievable. And I don't think that would be happening if everyone just had farms at the beach. Now, I don't think it's possible for everyone to have farms at the beach, but I don't think you would have the degree of sort of social trauma, maybe is a way to say it, that's prevalent if we just abandoned all of our cars and all of our cities and farmed at the beach and went kites, got enough food to eat and then went kite surfing or went for a swim or hung out with the sea turtles. And I know that plenty of people are just like, oh, this dude's a hippie. I actually don't get along quite with the hippies, but I like hippies. Nothing against hippies. There's a lot that I like about hippies. But but I urge you to think, don't just dismiss it. Don't just dismiss what I'm saying. Give it some reflection. I can't promise you that everything I say is like perfectly articulated and perfectly poignant and accurate, like to some degree of perfection. But I think I can say there's a lot of truth in and that's what I'm doing, is trying to push towards truth and estimate towards that. And so we'll move from addicts don't want to quit, they have to quit, as I'm discussing tech as I'm using that to describe sort of an addiction to technology and the development of society, and that we get distracted, I would say I wrote down talk about a car speeding toward a cliff, stepping on the gas metaphor for tech. And so maybe this is where I need to. I'll sum up this one, and then we'll get off, and it's time to move on with my day. It's like, as much as me personally, I like Elon Musk. I think there's a lot to like about him, and I think we're pretty lucky that he's somebody that's in a position that he's in. And but it seems to me he, as well as many others, as we face these societal problems, the answer that so many people seem to come up with is we need to develop faster. That's the only way we're going to overcome this, is we need to get to AI faster. We need to get to the robots that can do all these things faster. We need to develop these technologies. But there's so many different angles to think about the problems that we face that would put forward that tech is not the answer. And it just seems to be that you don't hear anybody ever putting that forward, that maybe we don't need all this tech, actually, and maybe we would actually be better off without it. You think about, like, look, there's definitely problems that tech helps to solve. But again, I'll bring up the farm on the beach scenario. If I have a farm on the beach and I can grow my own food, now there's challenges that are inherent in that. I'm going to have to deal with insects, protecting my crops, protecting my food, the weather damaging it. There's challenges that are, that people used to face that would create extremely, that would bring tragedy into their lives, or it would be, droughts or famines or whatever. And so to say we should move in a direction that's away from tech, is not to say that it's something that's without problem. But I think we can also look at that tech is creating as many problems as it's solving. Look, you look at the communication. You look at the communication development, like phones and the internet. Phones and the internet have allowed for some incredible things, like being able to communicate. My wife can live in the United States and communicate with her family in China. But nevertheless, it also created the opportunity, because that it created that opportunity. You now have families live in completely different parts of the world, and families are separated. I don't know that that's a good thing for people. I mean, I don't think it is. I think it's better to stay closer to your family. And I think families all throughout the world and all throughout countries, you have people, fathers, sons and daughters, mothers and sisters, grandmothers, everybody. So many people live in different cities from each other. And, because they can, and you can still communicate. But in my estimation, it's not remotely the same. And I think we've probably made a very big mistake in thinking that it's the same. And it's just not. It's different to live with each other. And it's different to communicate and see each other in person and live with each other than it is to see a hologram and experience the hologram. It's not the same. And we don't, sort of like I talked about unperceived gains earlier, maybe you could talk about unperceived losses. We don't necessarily know what we're losing. We can't articulate it. We can't conceptualize it. We don't really know. But I think it is. And I think we're going to, over the course of time, if we don't sort of course correct or start to become a little more cautious with with our tech developments. But that's what it seems like we're doing, is that we're, look, another perfect example of it is the bioweapons. The tech that we create. We've created these some of the most destructive things that exist in the world are tech, and like we may have been better off with famines than nukes. We may have been better off with droughts than bioweapons. So I just think, and nobody seems to be thinking in that direction. That's why I wrote this metaphor of a car speeding toward the cliff, stepping on the gas metaphor for tech, because that's what it seems like we're doing. It's like we've got these problems, rather than take a step back and say, hey, maybe we're creating a lot of these problems. And maybe it's this addiction to technology and the progression of technology and this power that's wrapped up in that. And that we think this power can be the answer to everything, when existence actually is a spiritual thing. And it doesn't matter if you live 30 years or you live 90 years, you can have a meaningful life. Just because you stretched out your life doesn't make it better or more meaningful or more fulfilled. And it's really about just the choices you make and what you do with your time. And if your choices are you want to try to live forever, then I think that's pretty stupid. And then two, I think you're missing the point. The goal, because you got to ask yourself, what is the goal of all this tech? What's the end goal? We're trying to get to the Mars, or because I think maybe the better goal is just to try to enjoy being here and be nice to people. There doesn't need to be the goal of living forever. I go back to that quote in my mind from Troy, I think it was, where the movie, I think it was from Achilles, where he says, the gods envy us because we are mortal. And yeah, if you live forever, I think if you find a way to live forever, I think that only ends in misery. I don't think there's a possible way that doesn't, like within a lifetime, like a normal lifetime or 2 or 3, it's not just utter misery, and it's I don't see how that would be. There's I don't know, maybe we shouldn't meddle, try to meddle with like the rules of this place that we live, and just appreciate it for what it is while we get to be here. I think that's probably a better way to approach it. And I think these are probably psychological illnesses that are these addictions to tech and development. AI is almost certainly not going to be the answer. I mean, I think the development of AI and whatnot is almost certainly going to end up in the dystopia that the movies warn about. It's just a matter of time. At some point, it will become corrupted. At some point, the machines will have enough intelligence, or I don't know if it's possible that they could develop a true sense of consciousness. My thought is that it's not, but certainly they could be corrupt. Their programming could be corrupted or controlled. And again, you're just, what you're doing is you're centralizing power when you're creating AI technologies and all this. You're centralizing power. You're putting power into a focused space. And if that gets controlled by the wrong thing, whether it's just a bad line of code or it's a bad person, then it could just wreak havoc. And it could be extremely difficult to overcome. And so I just think it's pretty silly that we're moving in that direction. And it's so short-sighted and naive. To me, it's shocking. People can't help themselves. So wrap it up with this. The thing that we need more than tech is spirituality. That's the thing we need more than tech. Because it's just like people that have been imprisoned, that are philosophers, or that are spiritual people say, it doesn't matter where they are. Essentially, they can always stay connected to God. They can always be fulfilled within themselves. They always have their freedom, even if their physical freedom has been taken away. On a fundamental level, they are always free because they always have the freedom. You always have the freedom to decide your view on the situation that you're in. And you always have the freedom to either love or hate your friends and your enemies. You always get to decide your disposition towards the world. There's a lot of stuff you can't control, but you're always in charge of that. And so that's why, people talk about being free even when they're in prison. And so, to me, then that's the main point is spiritual wellness and health. Those are the most important things. And those have really nothing to do with tech. And so tech can be nice, but we lose sight of what matters, and we stick people into little offices to do what? What are people even doing? I wonder that sometimes. It's like so many people are working on crafting and maintaining and doing little things in this digital world that it's like, what are people even doing? It's not just to dismiss everything as that's being done in tech as meaningless or not useful. I don't think that at all, but there's got to be just a ton of labor and human time that's just getting sucked away into the void. And as people just live in ways that aren't probably even remotely good for them, to go to a little cubicle day after day after day after day after day. I just don't think that that's what people are meant to do. I think that's bad for people. And it's pretty obvious, in my opinion. And so there's I think probably a lot of people recognize this, but it's and then the question becomes, what do we do about it? What are we going to do? So that's the question I'll reflect on this week. So with that, I'll play the song, and then I will say goodbye. So we're going to go here on my own. This is a song that I wrote about an artist and about, I would say, about myself. But the artist, this song is, at least in part, and I would say to a significant degree, it's inspired by the artist that I just interviewed on Thursday, named Tim Falvey, also known as Uncle Tim's Bench and now Big Iron Echoes. And so I'm going to be releasing that essentially podcast that we worked on, and I interviewed him at his bench, and so I'll be releasing. I've already edited that significantly, and I'm going to do some more, and then probably I'll release that next Monday, but we'll see. But this song was partially inspired by him, and it's also something that it's inspired by me as well. That I feel very connected to this song, but some of the lyrics actually of this song come from his song, or maybe two of his songs. I can't remember for sure, but there are lyrics that I pulled from a song or two of his that I put in here in this song. And anyway, without any, it's essentially about the journey of an artist. And without any further ado, let me set it up so I can play it for you. So we'll go here, and then here it is. Gotta make it on my own now. Time to make it on my own now. Time to make it on my own now. Time to make it on my own. I gotta make it on my own now. 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 It's time to make it, a time to die. Trying to find out why I'm so driven, like a man made to keep giving all that I can to a world filling up like a trash can. People started thinking I'm the tin man. Make these songs out of have power, and if the power that I give to them, it's my life that pours through them, not some paintings on the wall in a museum. I can't just see them, I gotta do them. So I'm headed out to the big city. Why waste my time with that smile that's so pretty? The world keeps trying to tell me what the fuck I am, but the truth is there's not a soul who understands. It's brand new, not in the skin, not in the DNA code. It's brand new, it's evolution, it unfolds. It's my soul, it's right now, it's life, it's growing current. The pot's on the stove and the cook's got it stirring. Transmission's on, I don't know, the engine is blurring. The future is here and the vision is blurry. What happens when a lost world won't stop turning? What happens when a lost world won't stop turning? I gotta make it on my own now. 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 Time to make it on my own now. Time to make it on my own now. Time to make it on my own now. Confusions, delusions, illusions, contusions. Why do I gotta do this? Do I think I'm Confucius? Does God push or pull me through this? Am I falling or rising or useless? I can't shake the sense that I matter so greatly, though that's not the pop consensus much lately. And though I'm just one of 8 billion burning, I can't help but feel essential is a good wording. I live in these streets, I walk in these shadows, breathe in my beats and exhale my battles. And when the play's over, I'll scream, is that all? You gave me your words, I'm still standing tall. I'll stay right here and fall if I have to. Some run in fear, but me, I'll be glad to. Lord knows I need every hope and prayer. Won't say I'm weary, but it's a long flight of stairs. I look up or down, can't see either end. All I know is it's time to step forward again. Gotta make it on my own now. All right, so that's a song called On My Own.
Eczema.
We don't want to do that. Song called On My Own, and what to say about that? Pretty different from most other stuff that I've created before. I guess the song kind of speaks for itself. I could go through the words. I think in the future podcast episodes, I need to actually go through the words and and look a little more closely at them. But I'm an hour into this now, and I think that's what this is going to end up being, is about an hour, because I was thinking to do 30 minutes before, but it's just something that it's going to end up being an hour. So thank you to anybody that came through and listened today, and I feel like I was a little bit dragging today, so I apologize for that if that's the case, but I hope you were able to get something useful out of it. And I'll see you guys next time. You know what? Yeah, I'll leave it there. That's a good place to stop. I should say, on my own. I got to make it on my own now. That's not. I guess the one thing I'll say about it is, it's interesting. It's twofold. There's something that we talked about in the podcast that I did with Tim, that I'm going to be putting out, where if you want people to, listen to what you have to say, then you have to live your beliefs, because nobody's going to respect what you say or what you believe if you're not willing to live it yourself. So you got to demonstrate that you actually believe what you say by living it into the world, and then people can actually respect. Okay, at least he puts his money where his mouth is, or he actually believes enough to stake his life on it, and then you get respect for what you're saying. And so, to some extent, that's what Tim did, and what he's doing. And that's to some extent what that song is about. Is you have to go out and do that. But there's also another angle on it, which is the egotism that's in having to make it on your own. And so there's this character that I'm representing, or I'm singing, and that I feel I've been. So I feel a lot of connection to that. I feel like that's me in a lot of ways as well. There's an egotism that's within this idea of I got to make it on my own now. When that you're never all on your own. You're never all on your own. If you're wearing stuff that was made by other people, you're drinking water and eating food that was brought to you by other people. We're all together all the time. So you're never really making it on your own. But then there also is, so there's sort of you can go too far into this egotism of making it on your own, and then you just become so stubborn and ignorant. But then there's also a way that you do kind of have to make it on your own, that truly a certain way it is, there's something that's all on your own, and that's your own, like, identity, or your own self, sculpting your identity and who you are, and the fact that on some level you live and die on your own. There's a certain way that you are alone, and you always will be, and that's okay. And so, because we're not all we're all separate. We're all separate beings. So I don't know. They're interesting things to think about for me. I hope they are for you too. If not, well, then it's not, and that sucks. But that's the beauty and mystery and complexity of life, is all these intersecting ideas and contradictions, seeming contradictions that aren't. And anyway, so stuff we talked about today, and thank you for listening. If you tuned in, I hope you enjoyed it, and be back again on next Monday, doing this podcast from 8 a.m. to whenever it ends, which is looking like it's going to take about an hour. And I will play a song every time, and that's it for today. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.